Hey everyone, Felipe here. Welcome to another Tower Saviors GNN review video. This week we have news about the new One Punch Man character Boros, which is going to be Majestic Descent of Nightmare Lord Boros, and I'm assuming it's going to be a Nightmare Stage or Ultimate Stage boss card. We also have from the title the Witches Virtual Rebirth and Challenge Mission Dance to Music. And honestly, out of all these, I think I'm the most excited about the Witches Virtual Rebirth. Um, I think I touched upon this last week where we haven't been using the witches too much because a lot of the game has evolved to the point where a lot of the enemy skills are very specific and you need to bring active skills to deal with them. And so it because you only have 5 team slots, it's very hard to bring a buffer card like an attack increaser card, which means that the witches have slowly decreased in popularity and decreased in usage. So I am really excited to see what their Ritual Rebirth is going to be, because that is going to give them two different active skills, the Refinement and the Divergence. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Also, Boros is exciting as well, because One Punch Man collaboration, really cool as well, but I think I'm the most excited about the witches, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the review. We have Majestic Descent of Nightmare Lord Boros, Ultimate Stage, actually Nightmare Stage. Yeah, pretty good. I think this checks out because they did mention that One Punch Man and Tower Saviors, the crossover, would only have 10 characters. So we have the 7 from the Diamond Seal, we have Sonic, Garo, and now we have Boros. So safe to say that this is going to be the last character from the One Punch Man crossover, which makes sense because they did say the crossover is going to end October 23rd, which is next week. Pretty short crossover this time, actually. But yeah, so without further ado, let's take a look. Dominator of the Universe will start on Monday and last all the way. Actually, it doesn't say how long it lasts, but yeah, let's see. For his leader skill, actually, Boros is going to be a light god card. Light makes sense to me because he is very shiny, so that makes sense that light is going to be his attribute. And God, I'm not particularly sure why God is technically an alien, I guess. I mean, if we, yeah, it's kind of weird to give him the God attribute. I guess it makes sense because, I don't know, Ultramans were also kind of aliens and were also gods. Well, I digress, maybe. Anyways, he is going to be a light god card and has the following leader skill: non-human, attack times 10, HP and recovery times 1.8. When 7 or more combos are made, team attack increases by 3 times additionally, and damage received from non-god members decreases by 50%, which is not bad. Actually, this leader skill is not bad at all, actually. Uh, it is times 10, which is pretty high in the current meta, and it is non-attributive and non-race restrictive, except for humans. But this means that you can run every single card in the game of every single attribute as long as they're not humans, and they can benefit from a times 10 attack bonus, which is actually pretty high. And if you do 7 combos or more, this gives you a times 30 base multiplier, which is honestly not bad. And 50% damage reduction from non-god members is going to be a little bit situational, but this can save you and give you more survivability. But given that you also have a 1.8 HP and recovery boost, you are going to be pretty tanky depending on the members you bring. So definitely, if you want to be super tanky, bring Nidhogg uh, plus 20 Ascension, and you are going to have a lot of HP, and that is going to be really fun for you. Help you survive, especially with a minus 50% damage reduction. But yeah, overall, as a leader, this is a pretty basic leader skill. Uh, we do not have runestone or runestone possession effect or shield breaking potentials, but let's take a look at his team skill because usually that complements his playstyle. So looking at his team skill, we have when both leader and ally are Boros, extend runestone movement time by 3 seconds. Burning will be nullified. Runestone movement will not be stopped when electrified runes are touched. Also, all runes possess 50. Ooh, nice. Also possess 50% effect of attributed runestones. By dissolving 5 or more types of runestones, attack of Boros increases by 5 times. And by dissolving 6 types of runestones, skill CD of Boros decreases by 1. After the first activation, actually, when there is Boros in the team. Oh, nice. So you do get a passive effect if you run him as a member, and no matter what your leader is. So if there is a Boros in the team, after the first activation of the character's active skill, the character launches an extra dark attack each round. If the character activates its skill 2 or more times, the above effect will be changed to character's attack increases by 3 times each round. The character's attack times 3 each round. Okay, not increases. If it increased times 3 every round, that would be kind of broken. But yeah, so I think what this means is that you do have a extra dark attack the first time you activate your active skill, and then from the second time onwards, instead of a dark attack, you get a times 3 attack bonus for Boros himself. And honestly, actually, this is not bad. Um, this is pretty nice. This is a really nice passive. Depending on his active skill, this might be really good as well. Because at its core, if you want to run a card as a member, no matter how good its passive is, like this one, you do rely on the active skill effect because that is going to be basically the meat and potatoes of the character. And if you're running him in another team, the active skill is the utility that you need to clear certain stages. And because of that, no matter how good this passive is, it really comes down to the active skill himself. So we'll look at the active skill later, but before we move on, let's talk about Boros' potential as a leader. Honestly, I do think he's an okay leader. He does have pretty good damage output. Basically a base times 30 if you manage to hit the conditions of his leader skill is pretty nice in the current meta. And because you are going to be running him with dual leader and ally, that is going to be a base 900 times, which is pretty respectable for a free card um, in TOS. The other thing for running him as a leader is going to be the fact that he has very flexible teammates. And because he doesn't have race restriction or attribute restriction except for human, that means you have access to every single card in the game except for humans. And while human cards have really good utility, all other attributes and races also have really good utility. Basically, if there is any utility that you need, there is going to be a card for that. Because the way TOS or Tower Saviors works is that it really puts a lot of emphasis into mono attribute teams and mono race teams. So, in order for the game or for players to beat certain stages with different teams, you need to release cards with similar utility but different race and different attributes. So because of that, even if you don't have access to human cards, you have access to all other races, which means you have access to basically the entire utility in the game, which makes Boros a really flexible leader. The only thing that I can say it's really lacking for his leader skill and team skill is going to be the fact that he cannot ignore any shields, and he is honestly not a brain dead leader. This is because he doesn't have any combo count increasing. So in order to get your max damage potential, you need to hit 7 or more combos, which it's not hard, but it's also not trivial. You can basically hit 4 combos, 5 combos easy without thinking, 6 combos be really easy as well. But for 7 combos, you typically have to pay a little bit more attention. So you do need to focus a little bit if you want to run Boros as a leader, as opposed to, I don't know, Lilith, where you some stages you don't really need to think, things like that. So he is not a brain dead leader. You do actually have to pay attention when you're playing his as a leader because of the 7 combo restriction. And the other thing is that you do not have any passive shield breaking potentials, which means that you do have to rely on your members. And depending on the stage, if there are a lot of enemy shields, you have to pick and choose which members you bring because you might not have enough team slots. So overall, as a leader, I think he is a pretty decent leader in terms of attack bonus, um, but he is lacking in the utility department. That being said, it is covered by the fact that he has access to all the cards in the game except for humans, and because you do have a runestone possession effect here, you are okay running a rainbow team because your members will have attacking runes no matter what attributes you bring. You also do have some like board protection from burning and electrified, which is always nice to have. And yeah, basically is a pretty good leader for mid-level content and maybe some high-level content depending on the members that you have. Um, but overall, pretty decent leader skill, especially for a free-to-play card, quote unquote free-to-play, because nightmare stages are typically pretty hard. So farming these cards are not exactly the easiest for everyone, the entire player base. But yeah, so we'll have to see. But yeah, also let me touch upon these two. 5 types of runestones and 6 types of runestones can be kind of situational depending on your board. But if you are dissolving 7 or more combos, chances are that you are potentially going to be dissolving a lot of runestones, and hitting these two can be pretty easy to hit potentially. But yeah, so let's take a look at his active skill. Maybe it will fix some of his issues and also give you some give us some insight to his member potential in the future. But yeah, so yeah, we have a CD8 active. Oh my god. Ooh, CD8 active skill. Whoever decided on this contrast right here, we need to talk because this hurts my eyes and I can barely see what it says. CD8 active skill with the following effect. Explode all runes to generate, oh, and petrify runes to generate all types of runestones, enchanted god runestones of fixed numbers. For 2 rounds, extend runestone movement time to 15 seconds. Character's attack increases by 5 times. Ooh. Character's damage will be dealt regardless of initial shield, fixed combo shield, and combo shield. And combo count increases by, oh my god, by 5 times. This is actually a really good active skill. I guess the only thing that is going to hold this skill back is going to be the CD8 cooldown, because CD8 is actually on the longer side and it really holds some active skills back a little bit, because TOS has come to the point where clearing stages really quick is the way to go, and waiting forever for your cooldowns to be ready or grinding for cooldowns is not really that often seen. You can still do it, but most of the YouTubers will prefer a faster playstyle. And it makes sense because you want to clear the stage fast so you can farm the card faster. But yeah, CD8, depending on your leader, you could potentially have some CD reduction, things like that. So it's doable, but I do think that the effects are worth bringing him over because the effects are really powerful. One, you are exploding all runestones and all petrify runes to generate all attributes, so this already helps you with equal combo shield, with enchanted quint elemental shield, a all full board clear shield, and also gives you extended runestone movement time, uh, increased self attack, and also ignores initial shield, fixed combo shield, and combo seal. And touching upon his leader skill, I do think this has really good synergy with his leader skill because of the shield breaking potential as well as the combo count increase. The combo count increase will give you the required 7 combos really easily to get the ×3 team attack, but also it will give you the 6 types of runestones that you need to hit your team skill passives, gives Boros a ×5, but also gives him an additional ×5. So basically, this is going to be a really good burst option for you in a Boros team. But yeah, so, and this is for 2 rounds. So this is going to increase your damage by a lot if you are running Boros as a leader. And the fact that you have both leader and ally means that you can activate this skill alternatively, and then that is going to give you a lot of damage as well. But yeah, so honestly, it might also be worth getting a duplicate copy of Boros and having 2 Boroses in your team plus your ally, so 3 in total, so you can spam the skill a little bit more often, because this team skill passive benefits Boros, which means that any additional copy will also benefit from it. But yeah, as a member, this is also a really good member active skill. And this is because you ignore initial shield, ignore fixed combo shield, ignore combo seal, and increase your combo count. This is a lot of utility packed into one skill. And as I was saying, there is more emphasis placed on active skills nowadays. So because you only have 5 team slots, it really makes you think of what members to bring. If a member can condense a lot of utility into a single card, that makes it a really good member. Boros will generate all attributes of fixed numbers, so potentially a full board clear, explode board hazards, give you initial shield, fixed combo shield, and combo shield ignoring. So that is already really good. So in my opinion, I think Boros is going to be a really good um, member card for the future for any god teams. And given how many god leaders we have in the game, I do think he is a must get, because he is going to be really useful in the future as a member, based only on the fact that he packs so much utility into a single active skill. But yeah, so now let's take a look at the Dragonware. Burrow Spaceship Power Core. Your typical Dragonware, charged by dissolving any runestones. Dragonware skill, extra runestone movement time by 1 second. And then just some attack bonuses. Honestly, this is a really good Dragoncraft to get as well, because like I was saying, Boros is going to be really good as a member, and he also comes with a team member passive that I forgot to touch upon. When you activate his skill, he is going to launch an extra dark attack with this ×5 multiplier down here, and you activate it again, the characters will increase by 3 times additionally as well. So this is going to be a times 15, basically nuke, and it is going to give you a lot of damage and also ignore all these shields, which means that you will be able to clear certain enemies in the future as well. But after that, you have a 1.5 increase if you dissolve 5 types of runes, or a 2 times with an additional 2 times increase if you dissolve 6 types of runes. So even as a member, if you equip him with his Dragonware, his own active skill will be increasing your damage by 15, 30, 45 times. And that is an amazing nuke, and definitely must get. In terms of his craft skill, I mean, it's nice, but like I said, Boros as a leader is useful, but he will be around like the mid level to high tier, but not comparable to 1% jackpot cards or like black gold cards, just because he is a free to play card. So the chances of you running him as a leader are few and far in between, as well as he's going to get power crept and fall out of the meta really fast with the current pace of the game. So honestly, not a bad card. So okay, that is all the news of One Punch Man this week. Now we go to the thing that I'm the most excited about, which is going to be the Witches Virtual Rebirth. So yeah, the Witches will have their Virtual Rebirth on October 17th at noon, while Refinement will have augmentations, Divergence will have their own new way to aid summoners in the future battle. So completely new skills. Let's take a look. So exclusive team skill. Ooh, okay. If the leader and ally are Cassandra, wait, why would you be running the witches as leaders? Anyways, let's see. Water, fire, earth members skill CD -2 after entering the stage. Runes of movement time increases by 3 seconds. For 12 rounds, team attack times 7. Leader launches 3 extra attacks. And at the end of each round, explore heart runes to generate enchanted runes of the leader's attribute. Okay, it's kind of hard to determine this without looking at their leader's skill, but their leader skills were typically not that great. I mean, this team attack times 7 is nice, but it only lasts for 12 rounds, and if you have a neutralized reset, it's going to remove it, so not that useful of a team skill, I believe, especially because I feel like you want to run other leaders instead of the witches. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, for refinement, which is going to be the enhanced version of their things, we do have when the team has only water, fire, or earth members. Oh, oh, there we go. So this is the leader skill. Let's see. Team attack times 7. Um, Humans attack times 7 additionally. HP 1.5. Skill CD minus 2 after entering the stage. All runestones possess 50% of water runes. Honestly, you know what? This is not bad. This is really not bad actually, because it's a base 49 for humans, and Cassandra doesn't care of recovery because you can use that as your attack. Um, but if you pair this with the team skill that increases attack by 7 times, it is a very respectable multiplier. The only thing is that there's no shield breaks at all. And your team skill also doesn't have any shield break utility as well. But yeah, so let's see. Oh yeah, they all have the same leader skill. So CD minus 2, honestly, as leaders, I think they're okay. You can use them to clear things, especially if you know you're going to take less than 12 rounds. But honestly, I mean, probably not use them as leaders. And I think their main utility is going to be their active skills, like always. So let's see. Uh, Refined active skill for Cassandra, which is going to be CD8, still the same. Recovery will be lower to 0. Actually, let me check. Cassandra, Tower Saviors. Because we already know the effects of this card. We don't have to go through the entire um, paragraph. I just want to check to see what changed. See. Oh god, please load. But yeah. Hmm, okay, let's see. Active skill. So, team recovery will be lower to 0. That stays the same. However, now it is 4 times the original recovery basic value instead of 3.5. And then the third effect is going to be new. Human leader and the character will get a 1.5 attack increase, and damage will be dealt regardless of, oh my god, initial shield. See, that's basically what I was thinking, you know? Uh, One of the reasons why people don't use the witches anymore is because they only give you damage increase, while you still need cards to like break shields and stuff. So because of that, they started to see less and less play because you needed to break enemy shields. So I do think this is a really good way of bringing them back. Basically, give their skills still the attack increase effects, but now slap on a shield ignore on it. And now with Cassandra, you have this effect active. Not only you're increasing your attack, you're also ignoring initial shield every single round. And that is going to be amazing. That is so good. Honestly, that's a really nice change, especially with CD8 is not that big of a deal because of the amelioration effects that you get, and you do get cooldown reduction from that. So yeah, skill can be deactivated at any time, and when you deactivate it, your cooldown decreases by 4 times. That stays the same, but uh, effects 2 and 3 are different, are additional. Modify the columns below humans to become human runestones and recover HP as much as the total HP of humans in the team. This is really good, honestly. I think this makes me happy. This makes me happy. This is because, I don't know, the witches are very support heavy, and now they added changes to make it a little bit more usable with the current meta, and that's honestly like really fun for me. It seems like they don't want them to become super broken. So it does give you more benefits if you run this Cassandra in a mono human team. But realistically, you can still run it in any team basically, and this is going to make it really useful. And honestly, Cassandra has been the witch that has been used the most often in the past couple years. And this is because there is something called recovery inversion enemy skill, where if you recover HP, instead of gaining that HP, you lose that HP. And for teams like elves that have really high recovery, if you encounter one of these enemies, even dissolving a single heart rune can kill you. And because of that, if you reduce your recovery to 0, those enemy effects will not affect you. And because of that, Cassandra has been one of the most used witches in the past few years, and it is not because of the attack increase that you get from your recovery. It is basically just to counter those enemies with uh, recovery inversion, because nowadays leaders have enough damage by themselves to kill anything that you put in front of them, and the only way to stop them is to create shields that are very tedious to break. But yeah, we also have a team skill. They're only human. Yeah, like I was saying, if you run mono human, you get more benefit out of it. By starting Runestone movement with the character Runestone of Cassandra, Sticky will be null. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. You do get to ignore Sticky if you run a mono human team with Cassandra in the team, and that is a nice bonus to have, honestly. Honestly, I'm just really happy with the active skill because it's basically a really good way of doing a buff. Like, you know, normally buffs are like, well, I don't know. I feel like normally buffs are just like multiplier on multiplier, but I do think this one's done really well where you address the problem, which is they didn't have utility to begin with, and now you give them more utility, so now they are more usable in the current game state. Additionally, the HP recovery is also really nice because since your recovery is 0, you are going to be losing HP potentially and have no way of recovering that. But if you can recover your HP at the end, then that becomes less of an issue. So honestly, Cassandra is really good already. So I am excited to see what happens to Medea and Circe. But yeah, the next one we have is going to be Medea. Also CD8, pretty used, pretty much the usual thing. And we have team attack times 2.2, which is going to increase from her past multiplier of just times 2. Drop rate of 5 runestones increases to 25%, which in the past it was not that high, I believe. Your damage received times 1.5, that stays the same. And then we have another of the human leader and characters, attack times 1.5, and damage will be dealt regardless of Quintet Elemental Shield. So while Cassandra was initial shield, Medea is going to be Quintet Elemental Shield. Again, potentially just mono-human focus because of a whole like human leader and character. Will be dealing the damage regardless of the shield. Upon skill deactivation, which can be deactivated at any time, skill cooldown -4, that stays the same. Humans, columns below humans to become human runestones, that's new. And for 1 round, by dissolving all fire in the first batch, skill cooldowns of humans -1. That's actually not bad at all. Especially, imagine if you are running freaking Cassandra, or I mean, if you're running Medea at CD 5, you decrease her cooldown by 4, it's a CD1, or let's say CD2. CD6, actually, yeah, as early as CD6, you can decrease your cooldown by 4. Now you're CD2. If you dissolve all fire runes in the first patch, you get another CD1 reduction. And crossing rounds, you get another one, which means that you can get your skill ready as fast as CD6. And that is going to be really powerful, especially with things like Neutralize Reset. So honestly, not a bad thing to have. And I'm guessing her team skill is going to be Ignore Burning. Called it because, fire, Medea, pretty easy to think about. But yeah, uh, actually, really good thing. Um, okay, and this paragraph right here is going to be the changes for her Hongling interaction, which I think is staying the same. It's just that it is being added to her virtual rebirth form, so that you're not losing that interaction. But yeah, next we have Circe, which is going to be also one of the most used witches back when she was released because of the combo increase damage that you would get out of her. CD8, attack and recovery can only be triggered when 4 or more combos are made, that stays the same, but your attack bonus is going to increase to 50% from the original 40%. Only 10% increase, but I think that does build up, especially with cards nowadays that can give you so much combo that you don't really need to worry about this. But yeah, for example, Hideyoshi, your average combo is going to be 14. So that is going to give you a lot of damage if you have plus 50% for each combo made. All damage reducing effects will be, that stays the same. Human leader and character attack 1.5, that's also new and similar to the other two witches, but this time will be dealt regardless of puzzle. Oh my god. Yo, they basically just took the 3 most common shields and gave them to the witches. The most common shields are Initial Shield, Quintet Shield, and Puzzle Shield, which really makes running triple witches really viable again, because you do have all that coverage for all these enemy shields. That's insane. That is so good. Anyways, deactivation, same thing, same thing. Combo count plus 8. Honestly, not bad at all either, because if you are at CD4, you deactivate, you can activate Circe again, but you still benefit from the combo count plus 8, and that is going to give you extra combos that can also benefit from her active skill of increasing attack bonus. So honestly, not bad for Circe. And then Electrified probably, yep, Electrified. So honestly, I am really happy with the refinement witches, because they are definitely going to see play in the current meta again. Because the main problem they had was the lack of utility. They were just attack boosters with no utility whatsoever. This time you do get double utility for each of them. You get the shield break, so initial shield for Cassandra, Quintet for Medea, and puzzle shield for Circe, but you also get the board hazard ignore from the character rune usage. So you can ignore sticky, you can ignore burning, and you can ignore electrify runes using the witches as well. So honestly, this is a really, really good uh, change that they made to them, and I'm really happy about this. Now let's take a look at the divergence force, and I hope they do not disappoint me, because I am very happy right now and I do not want to be sad. So now we have which is divergence Medea. When the team has only humans. Oh, this is just a leader skill. Attack times 7, HP times 1.3. If 2 out of the 3 types, attack times 5 additionally. Possess 50% effect of all the other runestones, and effect of fire increases by 50%. Honestly, not a bad leader skill, but I do think they are better suited to be supports rather than leaders, especially because Madhead keeps releasing really good leaders, and so competition gets really, really tough. But yeah, they have the same leader skill, so that doesn't matter. Okay, let's see. Music of Sun, Cassandra, CD7 skill, Elemental Bulwark Fire. Actually, Elemental Bulwark Fire, Elemental. Oh, do they have the same? Oh, okay. It looks like at a glance they have the same active skill, Let's see. By tapping a monster, tapping a runestone, explode that type, generate enchanted water, enchanted Ooh, they generate enchanted protector runes. Ignite enemies for 2 rounds, alter their attribute, increase water damage dealt to fire enemies. 45% of fire damage received will be converted to HP recovery. If team HP is less than 50% at the end of the round, character skill -2. Is it the same thing? Yeah, it is actually the same thing, except with minor attributive changes and petrify as well as electrify. Wow, okay. Oof. Wow, okay. This is really good. Um, this is not bad. CD7 is kind of nice, and if they carry on their amelioration, that means that they do still have a cooldown reduction, potentially. The amelioration might change when you switch forms, but CD7 might not be too bad. But this effect is actually pretty good because you can tap a runestone to remove all of that type, which means that electrify runes, which when they activate, some enemies will only convert one type into electrify runes. You can tap them and get rid of all of them. You're also generating protected runestones, which basically don't do much normally, but it is a type of utility that is kind of nice against certain types of enemies, especially the ones that require you to have protected runes on the board to deal damage. The main issue with these enemies is that if you remove the runestones to make a more favorable board for you, you are removing the protected runes and you're not able to deal damage. However, if you remove all protected runes and then generate protected runes, you have a board that's nice for you, as well as the protected runes that you need to break the enemy shield. So this is a very nice uh, utility that is very rare and very situational, but it's definitely good to have because I think we only have 2 cards right now other than the witches that can generate protected runes. I could be wrong, but yeah, we only have very little number of cards that can generate protected runes. The other thing is that they inflict status effects. So Cassandra affects Ignite, um, Medea inflicts Petrify, and Stairs inflicts Electrify. And here's the thing, they are inflicting statuses that are uncommon for their attribute. Normally, water cards inflict freeze, fire cards inflict petrify, ignite, and earth cards inflict petrify, things like that. Earth cards are a little bit more up in the air. It can be either petrify or electrify, so this one's a little bit less eh. But the fact that Medea can petrify as a fire card is very useful. And ignite to change into fire, that's also very useful. Um, Actually, I think this one should have been freeze. If your attribute alteration is electrify, it's water. This should be freeze actually. And I'm wait, no, that should have been freeze. That would have been so good because there are not that many earth cards that can freeze enemies. This would have been amazing if it's freeze. Anyways, back to my. Why is it not freeze? I don't get it. I don't understand. You're altering their attributes into water to deal more damage onto them, but you're not freezing them? Anyways, yeah. Back to the witches. You are inflicting status, which is good, but you're also altering their attribute to the counter attribute of the witch. So if you're running a mono attribute team with them in your team, basically you are guaranteeing a super effective attack that is more effective now because of the water damage dealt to fire enemies increases. And then you have some defensive skills and a skill cooldown reduction skills. So honestly, all in all, these are very good effects. A little bit, I feel like it it puts them in a really weird position because both the refinement and the divergence are really good, but based on the team slots that you have, you might actually want either both, or you want to have more utility as well. So they might be occupying a lot of your team, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but in terms of resources to virtual rebirth 2 copies, that might be a little bit more on the resource heavy side. I do think they are both really good to have, and they do cover two different aspects of utility that you might need. Refinement is breaking the most common shields that you have, while Divergence is giving you the status and the protected shields that came later on in the game. So while Refinement is helping you break early game shields, Divergence is helping you break like later game shields like Ignite shields, protected runes, things like that. So all in all, I am really happy about this virtual rebirth. um, I will apologize now about the lack of camera because now that I'm in Colombia, my camera setup is kind of bad and my lighting is also kind of trash. So I apologize for no camera so you don't see my reaction, but hopefully you can hear the happiness in my voice. But yeah, I'm really happy about the witches. They do get really good virtual rebirth, and honestly, this is how you should do virtual rebirth. I think freaking the virtual rebirth um, Norns were so bad. They were kind of disappointing. This is how you do virtual rebirth. Granted, these are only 3 cards, so it might be easier to implement changes. But these changes are all so good. They're all like changes that they really needed to see more play, and I'm really happy for them. But yeah, definitely get these cards virtual rebirth. All 3 of them are really worth. So if you have the power release version of all 3, go ahead and virtual rebirth them, and you will not regret it because they come with so much utility that they will see play again. And yeah, next we have challenge stage perpetual scars of love. Ding ding, challenge stage dance to the music with a new character, which is Fervent Anthem Serenade CD6. For 2 rounds, team attack 1.5, elves launch 2 extra attacks, damage will be dealt regardless of defense, and by dissolving elf runes in the first batch, still stays in play. Honestly, after reviewing the witches, I'm like in such a happy place. Looking at this card makes me a little bit sad because I mean, it's not a bad active skill, it just doesn't do enough. I feel like nowadays defense is a non-issue just because of the sheer amount of damage that you can deal. And the only reason enemies survive is not really because defense, it's mostly because their shields and damage reductions that they have. And so breaking defense only comes into play if they have like more than 1 billion defense, which is very rare nowadays. And even then, current leaders can just burst through that no problem with other cards. So this is like nice, but also very situational. CD6 is short, but not that great of an active skill. I would say just get one for collection sake and keep it in your inventory just in case. But yeah, we are finally at the end of the GNN. That was actually kind of longer than I thought, and my throat is starting to get a little bit tired. So yeah, just to recap, since we've spent quite a bit of time reviewing this, we have Boros, which is going to be the nightmare stage for the crossover between One Punch Man and Tower of Saviors. As a leader, he is going to be a little bit more on the mid tier level, not that powerful, but still usable right now in the current meta. He is a leader that is not brain dead. You do need to focus if you want to run him because of the mechanical skill required to hit 7 combos or more every single round. In terms of his active skill though, it is a really good active skill that I recommend you get because it is going to be an amazing member skill for future god leaders in the game. No matter how long it goes in the future, I do think Boros is going to be one of the members that is more flexible and gives you the most utility for any god leader that comes in the future, especially with his passive that does not require any other conditions other than him being in the team. In terms of his Dragonware, definitely get it. It is a must get this time because this will also boost your Boros' attack even as a member in other teams. We do have the Witch's Virtual Rebirth, which as leaders, they're okay, but I wouldn't recommend running them as leaders because there are so many other better leaders in the game. But their skills have all been buffed in really incredible ways, and they are breaking really common shields, as well as inflicting status on enemies. Both the refinement and diversion form are going to be really useful for their skills and for your teams. So definitely virtual rebirth all three of them if you can. In terms of the challenge stages, we do have two challenge stages. One for the witches and one for the new character. But the new character is kind of weak. I do recommend just getting one copy, not leveling it up, and just keeping it in your inventory just in case and for your index collection. And that is all for me for this week's GNN review. As always, let me know in the comments if I missed anything or if I said anything wrong. And keep an eye out on my YouTube now that I'm settling a little bit more in another country. I will be posting more and more content coming up. But uh, yeah, let me know if there's any content that you want to see, and keep an eye out on my YouTube for more Tower of Saviors content. For now, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.